Lydia Ann Perkins was born on December 21st, 1982, alongside her twin sister, 6 weeks earlier than her parents had anticipated. Tragically, her sister passed away shortly after their birth, leaving Lydia to grow up without ever knowing the unique and cherished bond that twins often share. Lydia grew up alongside her mother and younger brother in Lexington, Fayette County, Kentucky. Lexington, known as the horse capital of the world, is renowned for its thoroughbred horse farms and rich equestrian culture. The city also boasts a vibrant downtown, historical landmarks, and a thriving arts and food scene. On October the 26th, 1997, 14-year-old Lydia spent the day with her younger brother Justin, aged 12, at their grandmother's residence in Lexington, not too far from where they lived on Rugby Road. The siblings shared a close bond. Justin Perkins told Lex 18 of the bond he shared with Lydia, quote, "My best friend. You always look for somebody to go to. You see people with brothers and sisters, that relationship, even on TV, and it's something that you always feel you missed out on." Lydia and Justin both left their grandmother's residence and headed home earlier than they had anticipated to visit some friends. The siblings visited Lydia's boyfriend's home, and later Justin left alone as he had plans to meet another friend, arriving home a short while later. The Charlie Project states that at some point Lydia also returned home, as she had called her cousin from the landline. The specific details of the phone call are not publicly known, therefore it's unclear if Lydia mentioned anything significant to her cousin about what her plans were, if she was possibly meeting anyone that day, etc. Following this call, Lydia was never seen or heard from again. Later that night, Justin became anxious when he realised that his sister had failed to return home from her boyfriend's house in the Cardinal Valley neighbourhood. According to various sources, the last known sighting of Lydia Perkins was on the corner of Piccadilly Street and Rugby Road, possibly also seen walking down Londonderry Road between 3 and 5 p.m. near to where she resided. The Perkins family reported Lydia missing several hours later after she failed to turn up. Their mother said that when Justin had returned home after visiting a friend, he was, quote, freaking out. However, upon reflection, Justin claims he doesn't remember this happening. He couldn't recall much about that particular time. Lydia often left their home of her own volition, without telling anyone. Therefore, it was initially suspected that the 14-year-old was out gallivanting with some friends in the neighbourhood. But for her to be gone for so long, as the night grew darker, her family grew increasingly worried. She never strayed far from the neighbourhood, and she had never stayed out this long before. She always came back. Due to the fact that Lydia had been absent without leave a number of times before, police considered her to be a runaway for 2 years following her disappearance. Because she was deemed a runaway for such a prolonged period of time, Lydia's case was not publicised in newspapers or any other media outlets at the time, which meant word of mouth was the only way that awareness could be brought to her case. Few tips or leads were called into the local authorities, which very much left this case at a frustrating dead end. Searches of the area were conducted by Lydia's loved ones, however, no trace of the 14-year-old was found. A death row confession from a possible suspect came to light at one stage, with the man in question admitting to killing the teenager, but nothing came of it as no evidence was found to corroborate his claims. No clues or any evidence has ever been found to indicate where Lydia went or what happened to her on the night she vanished. No arrests have ever been made in connection to Perkins' disappearance. Conflicting information regarding the specific timeline of events sadly plagues this particular case, with sources giving vastly differing variations of Lydia's last known movements and alleged sightings, making it difficult to piece her story together accurately. Just one example of this being that her brother insists agencies have the date of Lydia's disappearance incorrect, that she didn't vanish on October the 26th of 1997, but October 19th of 1997. Another example being when exactly Lydia phoned her cousin from her place of residence. Was this call placed upon her initial return from her grandmother's, or when she returned from her boyfriend's later that night? The unclear timeline makes it much more difficult to give an accurate depiction of Lydia's last known movements. Her brother Justin alleged on a Facebook post in October of 2021 that a man who Lexington police were suspicious of having been involved in his sister's disappearance was arrested in connection to the vanishing, after he took the case upon himself after Lexington PD's cold case squad lost its funding. Justin traced the man himself. This male individual was allegedly then charged with possessing indecent images of children and given 5 years behind bars. According to Justin, the niece of the man in question visited his house to collect some of his belongings when she discovered a videotape of Lydia sitting on his television, taken approximately a month prior to her disappearance, but no explanation was found as to why such a tape was in this man's possession for over 20 years. A connection was made, however, as it turned out Lydia knew this man's sister. Sadly, despite this seemingly promising lead, the sister allegedly stopped cooperating with Justin after a decline in her mental health, meaning that the case once again was left at a frustrating standstill. Police have never commented on these claims made by Justin, nor given them any credence. No further progress appears to have been made in this case, but Lydia's family still hold on to the hope that someday the truth will prevail. Every holiday season, Lydia's mother, Sherry Thompson, lights a candle in memory of her missing daughter. She spoke to Lex 18 on the 25th anniversary of her daughter's disappearance, reflecting on what has been a long journey of heartache and anguish in not knowing what happened. Quote, "I remember my brother would say, 'She'll be home by Thanksgiving. She'll be home by Christmas.' And that was 25 years ago." Lydia's family, despite the heartache of not knowing what fate befell her, continue to search for answers, despite the passage of time. They hope that someday they'll find the truth, even after almost 3 decades. Quote, "It's been a nightmare you're actually living every day. You know, you want justice, you want to find out who did this to her so you can protect other children," Sherry concluded, desperate for some sort of closure. "My daughter would never have left us," she told WKYD. "Something happened to her. I think something bad has happened to her. You live with that thought every single day." Justin reiterated a similar sentiment, speaking to Lex 18. He said, quote, "I will press any issue. I want to find out what happened to my sister. I will never give up. I will never quit trying, no matter how hard it is. One day, I will find the truth." The circumstances surrounding Lydia Perkins' disappearance remains shrouded in mystery, and sadly, her case remains unsolved to this day. It's unclear what happened after she returned home from her boyfriend's residence, following the phone call with her cousin. Did she leave of her own free will to meet up with someone and become victim to foul play? Unfortunately, with little to no information available about this case being publicised in modern media, it's extremely difficult to say with any certainty what happened here, especially when there is no trail to follow or any evidence to work with. She simply vanished into thin air, without trace. At the time of her disappearance in 1997, Lydia Ann Perkins was 14 years of age. She is described as being Caucasian, standing at 4 foot 11 inches tall and weighing approximately 90 pounds, with red, auburn, shoulder-length hair and hazel eyes. According to the Charlie Project, Lydia may have dyed her hair bright red, brown or black. She has a brown circular birthmark on the right side of her neck and has scars on her right eyebrow and in the centre of her forehead. Her ears are also pierced. The Doe Network cites that Lydia may also use the surname of Moberly. Sadly, it's unclear what the teen was wearing on the day she vanished. Though initially deemed a runaway, authorities now deem this case as an endangered missing person. Various age progression images of what Lydia might look like were created by digital forensic artists in collaboration with the National Centre for Missing and Exploited Children, the latest depiction being in 2020, aged 38, in the hopes that if Lydia is still alive today, that someone might recognise her. If she is alive in 2024, Lydia would be turning 42 years old. Her DNA is available for comparison. Those with any information regarding the disappearance of Lydia Perkins are urged to contact the Lexington-Fayette Urban County Division of Police at 859-258-3600.